going.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Writers Chat. And this is the delightful place where writers like to gather and we talk about all things about writing, for writers, and by writers. And we've developed quite a little neat community over the last couple years. We should find out when our anniversary is, shouldn't we? I saw Serious Writers had one coming up, but it'll be nice. We should celebrate sometime. We'll figure that out. But anyway, my name's Jean Wise. I'm one of the co-hosts, and you can see me surrounded today by all our other co-hosts. And we got Melissa and Johnny and Norma and Bethany, and I asked them to stay on because today we're talking about mid-year goals. Do you believe we are halfway through the year? It's what, less than 6 months to Christmas?
Yeah.
Sometimes look up and see what before you know it, it's going to be the end of the year. You know it? It's halfway through. So we thought we'd have a little bit of a challenge today, a little bit of a discussion about goals and where everybody is. And so I thought we'd start on you know me, I'm a pretty much of an optimist, that maybe have the group here share something that you've done good this year. What's a goal that you've gotten done or accomplished that you feel really good about so far this year? So whoever wants to share, do you want me to pick on somebody or do you want to start in?
Yeah.
I'll pick on Johnny.
I knew it. Okay, what have I done good this year? I think I did what was good, just yesterday, in fact, because I have been sort of behind and overwhelmed and trying just to tread water a little bit for several months to keep on top of different writing goals and things. And Sunday night at 10:38, I sent in the novel that was due at 8 o'clock the next morning. And then I had to immediately on Monday do a second round of edits for a novella for Barber and got those in. And so now I do have more deadlines coming up, but it's like I can breathe a little bit. So I feel like this is my chance. Yes, this is my chance to get on top, stay on top, and that way not to have that like, oh my gosh, I've got to stay up every night. And I know Bethany's been going through that even worse than I have. So it's like I would have to just think it's not as bad as Bethany. It's not as bad as Bethany. I'm glad that could help you. Tiring, and it was exhausting. And I was staying up, late. And it's like, and it's been other deadlines too. I mean, June 30th, I had a deadline, and July 8th, I had a deadline, and then I had July 15th, 2 deadlines, and it's just been like that, it seems like, for quite a while, which I'm very thankful for, because you know what, that means I'm working, and right, so I mean, you've got to be thankful for those deadlines, even when they're weighing you down, but it's nice to sort of be at a place now where I feel like I'm more in control of them than they are in control of me, so thank you everybody for the kind words in the chat. Yay.
That's a great feeling. You could be worse off. You could be like Rhonda, who mentions in her chat she doesn't even know where her goals are. Right? I had to dig mine out. I dug mine out to look at them and prep for today. So that process alone will be good. Hey, how about you, Norma? What's something you've gotten done this year that you feel really good about?
What I feel really good about is I entered 2 contests this year. And so not much happened with that, but I did it. And in spite of the lull that I've been in, I'm back at it, writing and revising some things, getting ready to enter some more competitions.
Yeah. Good. And that gets you focused too, doesn't it? It makes you, it almost becomes a deadline, like what Johnny says, to practice.
And a lot of these contests do have deadlines. And I watched a video by Kyle the other day, and I think it was Kyle, I can't remember. It was somebody on winning competitions, and I think that was Kyle. And they said, get it in before the last day, because a lot of times it ends up in a slush pile because they're so swamped the last day. So I'm working hard to try to get mine finished and in by tonight. So it's a few days before the last day, not the last day.
Yeah, that's great. And what a good tip to share from Kyle, too. That is great. I like that. What do you think, Bethany? What do you got to share with us?
Okay, so the last 6 months have been overwhelming chaos. And so I'll just break them down. But what I learned was I learned where my boundary is on how much I actually want to take on and do. So I think I did 8 events, 8 or 9 that I was either the speaker or running, and then wrote 2 books, co-authored 2 books, and then ghost wrote another book that just got turned in, and then co-ghost wrote another book, which also just got turned in. And we moved, and my husband went on like 500 little deployments, and still grad school and finishing homeschool. So it's been like a crazy 6 months, but I've been thinking about it, and I think we don't push ourselves enough most of the time, majority of the time, and I think I finally pushed myself to my limit. So now I know where it is, and that's a good thing to know.
Well, sometimes we have to, and I don't want to call it a fail, but we have to have some trouble like that in order to know that, so you, in the long run, you'll be a good manager of that. So
lots of lessons. I'm excited about when we do the planning class or the
planner.
So
we can get some ideas that day. That'll be great.
Yeah,
it'll be great. And I just think the idea of taking our breath halfway through the year and looking back, all sorts of lessons. You could feel good, but 2, you can learn some lessons from it too. So that's another important thing about the mid-year goal process on that way. Hey, Melissa, what about you?
Well, as everybody kind of knows, I've been working on the 3rd book in my series because I have a contract on those that they'll be published next year. And so I finished the exploratory draft of my 3rd book, and that's a big step right there. Basically, it's all planned out now, and I'm now maybe closing in on 4th of the way through with the rough draft. Been hitting that pretty hard, but still got a long ways to go. So I'm surprised actually with how fast the rough draft is starting to come together. That's something that's never been so quick for me before. So I guess that's a positive thing, seeing that this process is helping me to kick stuff out a little faster than what's normal, because I'm a pretty slow writer all around. So it's fun to see that developing.
That is great. That is great on that way. Well, I just think that's exciting. And 3rd book in the series, how exciting that could be too. On that, I would say for me, mine isn't as exciting as you guys, but you guys know I've had my blog since 2000 and whatever date. How many? 9, 8, 9, Johnny? You and I started them together about that.
Yeah, and I did not do nearly as well. I think it was probably, we met in 2007, so it would have been 2008 or 9.
Yeah, and I had moved it from Blogger to WordPress, so I had done some behind the scenes stuff on it, but I invested in my blog this year and invested in my blog this year and put some money for a professional to go behind the scenes and really did a blog audit and cleaned up a lot of old unused things and made the speed and the SEO, all that hecky garbage that's not real exciting, but it's made a difference. I'm having some posts ranked much higher on Google now, and so, and it updated everything. I went to that HTTPS secured one, and I don't know if I use this word. I have no idea what a PNP is, but I got my PNP up to date, and she was pretty delightful to work with. It's Blog Aid. AID, and Mayanna Stevenson. She's from the Nashville area, and really knows an awful lot, but didn't make me feel real bad. Every once in a while she spoke over my head. Some of the stuff she said just went, whoosh.
They have a good blog themselves that has some more techie information, I guess, but I forget why I subscribed to it, I think, when they were doing the whole, what was that last, Gutenberg. And they had information on it. So now I hardly ever read it. I read the headlines, and sometimes I read because it isn't really.
She is really up to date on a lot of the changes, and a lot of times warns you about some of the changes. So I think that was probably one of my key things I accomplished this year, was to get that behind the scenes. And now every year I can hire her to do it, and it'll not cost me quite as much because she's already got everything done. So that on that way. So I'm excited. I do want to update the theme behind it now. So I'm probably going to spend a little bit more money on, I don't know if this year or the first of next, but kind of update it, kind of revise it so it actually will look different. But it was all the behind the scenes stuff. So that's, I feel good about that. So next question, group, and I want you guys in the chat to be thinking about it. Hold on, Johnny, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, you said that behind the scenes, and you know what? Sometimes we do get so focused on just what's in front that we do need to take that step back and do all this background kind of stuff, you know, and it's not as fun and it's not as, I don't know, you know, but it still has to be done. So kudos to you for doing that.
As soon as we start the next question, I'll type it in. I'll type in her name, because it's spelled a little bit different, Bethany. So I'll type it.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'll type it in really quick. It's a little bit different name, so I'll type it in, Susan, question. But I agree with you, Johnny. It is sometimes it's that kind of. That was one goal I've got just for this week, is all these little piles of paper I've got on my desk. I want to spend at least a couple hours getting some things done. You know, that little stuff sometimes trips you up more as much as anything on that. So next question, and this one's a little harder, is what do you wish you had done better this year so far? And you kind of, sometimes when we verbalize it or think about it, that kind of gets us going on that. So I'm going to reverse the order. So we're going to start with Melissa this time. Melissa, what about you?
Oh my gosh. So many things. I think the biggest thing is the overwhelm this year kind of sidelined a lot of my efforts to not only to get my books, get on them faster, but also to maintain that social media platform and to grow the email list and all that fun stuff. I've been doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, keeping my website up and trying to build the email list, and that stuff is kind of a distraction amidst the rough draft writing process. So I didn't get my exploratory draft done as fast as I wanted to, and you know, I've mentioned it before, but our ranch is selling, and so we've had to do a lot of work on the ranch, and I haven't been able to focus on the writing as much. And so the email list, the website, all that stuff has gone back burner, and you know, barely keeping it afloat while I'm trying to find time to write amidst all the chaos that's happening on the home front. So yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to balance that, and we've got to say that as writers. You know, I bet every one of us, but especially those of you that moved this year on top of all this, that's even more chaos, I would think, you know, on that way. But yeah, that marketing is always there, isn't it? Bethany will vouch for that one. That's got to be prime and stuff. But it takes more time, and it's not where always we want to spend our time as writers. Yeah, on that I agree. Okay, Norma, you're up. What's something you wish you had done a little bit better?
I wish I'd stayed focused more and written more. At times I allowed myself to be sidelined by circumstances. And so sometimes, like Melissa, we can't help it. It's stuff we have to address. And other times I think sometimes the enemy gets in and we just kind of get sidelined. And I wish I'd pushed through that harder and stayed more focused.
Yeah. So that's something to work towards the rest of the year a little bit, maybe. Yeah. I think we all kind of identify with that one, can't we? What do you think, Bethany? What do you want to share?
So this was a crazy year, but like for each aspect of the different companies and the different businesses, if you look at them individually, I think we made good decisions for each one, but because they were all, the deadlines happened to coincide like this, it just felt like I was spinning my wheels from one to the next. So what I learned from this 6 months was really saying, what are maybe, actually I learned this from the client that I was ghostwriting for, what are 4 things that I really can prioritize on over like is it 9, not really 9 weeks, but like a quarter, like a 3-month period, 90 days. And that reminded me of, I pulled my book Essentialism, which I recommended, I think, a year or 2 ago for people to read. And Tamsin Horton, who has been a guest, recommended we read this. But because I read this a year or 2 ago, I was ready to hear in a different way the stuff that my client was talking about, productivity and focus. And now I think I'm ready to implement that. So slowing down is something that I'm going to do, because I did not do a good job of that the last 6 months. So I'll put the book title in there, but this is a book I recommend everybody read.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes we're trying to focus on so much stuff, we don't focus on anything well, you know, so sometimes it's that 1 or maybe 1, 2, and 3 main things we want to get done. I'm jumping ahead now to the end of the year, but, you know, what's something key that we would want to get done on that way? That is a great book. So
it's a great book about really, yeah. And I think you have to look at what your goals are too. I mean, I think we met the goals. I don't regret anything that we did or any of the stuff that I had on my plate, but like I said, I'm ready to start really now focusing on different goals for each.
Yeah. And you talked about quarterly. That's always a good way. I have a good friend that's an organizer, and she really divides her year into 3 years, which is January through May, because that's kind of a bulk of a year. Summer, which is a horse of a different color. We were just talking about how crazy July is, you know, anyway. And then the September to December. And I really kind of like that. I think that's a better rhythm for me a lot often, too. So whatever works, you know, you can divide any kind of goals into smaller things. That always works well, and batch them a little bit better. Yeah. On that way. Okay, Johnny, you're up. What's something you wish you'd done a little bit better this year so far?
Well, a couple things. So one, I really had intended to record a new class for Serious Writer. I wanted to do at least once a month, and I haven't done a single one. So, you know, I really want to do that and to have that be part of what I'm doing. That was a silly sentence. And the second one was that I really wanted to concentrate on taking a day out of a month to do like an artist date or something like that, you know, just that day. And really haven't been able to do that like I had hoped. So it's like those are 2 things. Just, you know, sometimes we just get so caught up in the writing deadlines and we're so immersed in that world. I remember because one other thing I did right that I didn't mention was my newsletter. Someone said newsletter, and I started it, and even the other night after writing most of the day, and it was so late, I stayed up to get my newsletter out, you know, which I wanted to go to bed so badly, but I didn't. And so that I've done a pretty good job on it. But I remember writing in one of those that telling them about my writing stuff. I'm sorry about this cat.
I love it.
I love it.
She's coming back. That, you know, like in my mind, in my imagination, I was in Oklahoma Amish country. I was in the Bahamas with a short story or a novella. I was in the Erie Canal. I was, you know, I was like, my head was in like all these spaces, and there were in World War II. I was immersed in World War II again, and in South Carolina, bed and breakfast. I mean, you know, when your mind is just traveling from one thing to another, I think you really need those artist dates or those moments, but that's when I couldn't do it because there was just so much. So that's one thing that now that I'm kind of hopefully on top of things. And once I get home, because I think, I have been gone like around 6 weeks, and it's beginning to take a little bit of a toll too. But yeah, I really want to get classes recorded, and I want to start having a day, at least one day a month, where I can just go do something and not be thinking about stories.
Even if it's not a full day, even if it's a half day, you know, right in the morning and go someplace in the afternoon or something. Those
Right.
artist days are important to kind of refuel us our creativity more than I think what we even realize. So
Yeah, I
that's a
absolutely agree.
great reminder. Great reminder. I
Mhm.
think that the thing I probably two things I didn't get done that I wish I had is I'm working on a second book proposal, and it's probably 60% done, 70% done, and I'm still struggling with it a little bit. I took it to Speak Up conference last week and talked to both Kyle and quite a few editors to kind of get the focus more, and that's helped. But I got to do some really sit down in the chair nitty gritty work on it to get it ready for submission. It is not yet. So I wanted to have that done by now. So I didn't quite reach that goal. But it will be in its right time, you know. It just you gotta allow some timing on that. And the idea is there, but it's not quite 100% there. And the other thing is, and this is similar to what you were saying, Johnny, I wanted to work on creativity a little bit more this year too. Taking, even if it's just an hour once a week. I like photography, and I've been into trying, though I'm not very good at it, creative lettering, you know. On
Oh,
that, I actually did set up a little desk area. So I have a little artist corner, but
aw.
I have only been there maybe twice, you know, since the first of the year. So that's something when I was looking back over the whole idea of being more creative and allowing yourself those moments as a writer to doodle even, you know, and draw and stuff. You know, it takes, you know, I'm hoping by the end of the year I could sit there and say, oh, I did spend some more time with that. So that's kind of what I wish I would have done a little bit better on that. Okay, next question. What's something, well, maybe the next question we've well, we'll ask it because that's kind of what I just said. What's something that um, you had down as a goal, but you hadn't even started yet, but you still want to? What's a goal that you've got for this year that you want to hang on to on that? So now we're going to mix things up. Norma, we'll start with you first.
Okay. I had a feeling that was going to be me. Okay. Um, well, I've been saying since the beginning of the year that I was either going to revamp or start a new website. And I am so tech Amish, as I heard at Blue Ridge 2 years ago, or last year, that I avoid it like the plague. And I know I need it, but I just, so that's something that I had as a goal and I haven't accomplished yet.
Yet. Not yet. Not yet. That's the positively we're going to say that.
That's
Good
right.
for you. Good for you. Bethany, what do you think on this one?
So my branding has really been with the companies more so. And what I want to do that I haven't done yet, but I'm going to, is really start honing back into the Bethany Jet brand with my newsletter, not just the one that comes out from Serious Writer, and starting to now incorporate like all of that in there, and the podcast. But the number one thing that I'm excited about is doing what I've been teaching everybody to do, which is that one blog post a week that takes all your social media, pulling out of that, and doing the YouTube video, and really still focusing on Instagram. So I'm very excited about that. So like that's what I've got in the works right now on my staycation.
Wow. And will you keep us posted on that and how that works and what you learn on that? Because I think that we'll watch you and learn from you.
I learned everything I do wrong. Really.
No. Everything you do right. We're going to think positive.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That is happening.
Wow. So that's the next step. It sounds
Yes.
like that sounds good. Melissa, what about you?
Well, I don't know if it's accurate to say that I haven't got started on it, because I have. I just feel like I'm not making any headway on it, and that would be the whole learning how to launch and market your first book. I mean, this whole traditional publishing thing is absolutely new, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface, and I am totally unprepared for it. And I'm feeling at this point like I'm drowning, and there's no getting there. So a lot of the things I set out to do have experienced a lot of setbacks there, and And the one I thought that was going to be the best is kind of falling all apart now too. So trying to figure out where to go, how to get that going again, and learn what to do with a very limited income.
Yeah. Maybe one writers chat here. Write this down, Melissa. Maybe one time we could just have everybody bring I don't want to say a problem, but you know what I mean, something that they're struggling with, and we could brainstorm with each other. We could do that one session, I bet. And something like that, help Melissa create her marketing plan, would be that could be a show on its own, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Teach us awesome lessons. Bethany, we might need your help on that with marketing, but we can do that, a brainstorm. We turn around and help Melissa, but then everybody could learn something like that. Ooh, write that one down. I like that. Let's see, who did I get?
I like that, yes.
Johnny, what's one thing you want to get done? Something that you haven't started yet and still want to do yet this year?
Something I want to do. I want to get a street team for the books that I'll be indie publishing in the years to come, and I really haven't had time to sit down and think about that strategy, but I really want to do it right when I do it, and I don't know that it's ever too early, but it still may be a little too early for that. My first major indie book's going to be out in May, so I still have a little bit of time, but that's something I just really need to dig into and get going. And then I really have been off social media for the last couple weeks and hardly had a presence at all, and I just need to get back into and do better at that. But like, people have said in the chat, the whole social media and stuff, it's always a tension. It seems like, too much, not enough, taking away from writing time, still needing to have it done. And I think just coming up with a strategy, and I'm kind of there, but not quite there.
Yeah.
On that.
You use the term street team. Is that like a book launch team, or are you talking about something different? Okay.
A book launch team, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard that term before, and I was wondering if they were two different things. I thought maybe someone else might want that, but it's basically a book launch team.
Yeah, and it's just like, really trying to decide how you choose it. I mean, and there's different thoughts on it. Like, some people want smaller wins. Some people say, anybody who wants to be on it. And I don't know what the best answers are for all of that. But whoever is on it, I'm hoping will be people who are very engaged in the story and in helping spread the word on it. So, yeah.
That sounds great. The comment on having time for marketing and social media, this really, I've struggled with, I think we all have struggled with that a little bit, and I've tried different ways to batch it, and we've talked about that, batching time. And it actually, when I was at Speak Up last week listening to Kyle, of all things, it dawned on me, Tuesday mornings. I use Tuesday mornings for a variety of things before Writers Chat, but a great deal what I do a lot of times is marketing related, and I thought, I wonder if I could just say Tuesday morning before Writers Chat was going to always be marketing. I think I would be more focused. So that I just share that for sometimes finding the right, experiment with batching time, find the right time on, find it that way. Hey, the thing I've done, and again, I'm being something totally different and very practical minded on this. I want new headshots this year, and I have not gotten to them yet. So I just started putting some feelers out, like who's somebody good in this area, just yesterday, as a matter of fact. But that is one thing that was a goal this year I'm going to get, and I haven't gotten it yet. And the other thing is to be more active on Instagram, which I'm sure will please Bethany, and I want to take that class on Serious Writer, and that's good. I'm going to make that one of my Tuesday morning projects, and get going on that. I have said that for 2 years now, and it's been on my to-do list every week. Oh, start a little bit more on Instagram, and I haven't.
Instagram is the best. I'm just saying.
I know, and I heard that all last week at Speak Up, over and over and over again. I said, okay, Jeannie, this is something you got to do. But anyway, so that's going to be some of my Tuesday morning projects. So to get myself kind of up and running a little bit better there. I've got a page, but that's about it. Okay, Last question, and then those of you in the chat, be thinking about these questions because we want you guys to at least share a little bit when we invite you back in just a few more minutes. The last question is, what's new on your horizon? What's new that you've got coming that you didn't have in January? Because we have to be kind of flexible and be open to new opportunities. So what is something new that's brewing that wasn't there in January that you either are working on or are going to be focused on the rest of 2019? And Bethany, I know you're on a shorter time thing, so let's start with you this time, just in case you need to bop out before we finish this question on that. So,
All right. So a couple of things. Book-wise, I am under contract for one more book, so we'll be starting that. But I'm going to be working on proposals and then not getting book deadlines coming in at the same time. So that's going to be like the new thing. But really starting now to focus on doing my first book launch too, because I didn't know what I was doing when my first book came out, and the rest have been ghostwriting books, which I also didn't have to be the main figurehead for. So lining up the speaking engagements, and that's going back to what I'm working on Bethany Jett as a brand. So a lot of YouTube, really going into who I want to be in terms of like a work at home mom. I think that's really my audience, and people who want to start businesses, even if it's not writing. So that's where I'm headed. And like going to CPE, that's a new thing. So that Christian Publishers exhibit, I'm not sure what the thing is, in Tennessee in the end of August, and going there and specifically for Platinum Faith, and then also for They Call Me Mom, and meeting with buyers of the books for really to help increase the pre-sale of the book, which publishers find really important. And what we learned this year too was that launch day is not a thing for the publisher. Like the day the book comes out, it's really an author thing, and that the publisher does not look at the, when the book releases, that's the day they look at numbers. They're looking at all those pre-sale numbers boom into like the next couple months, which was a different mindset than I've been thinking of. So I'm trying to think about these next months before books come out as like the real big marketing push. And my kids are going back to school. So I am, the new thing this time is I'm going to be saying no to a lot of really good things, and really trying to pray for wisdom and discernment on what to say yes to, and really minimizing to like, okay, I'm going to focus on 4 things each 9 weeks. And really, now that I'm the primary again with the kids, in case Justin deploys again with school, everything is going to be shortened. And so that's going to be hard. I know I'm going to probably call my mom a lot for advice. So it's just going to be a different role that I'm taking on primarily than I was before. That's
exciting. And I think there's a lot of wisdom, what you just said too. We might have to roll this back and re-listen to all of that. Seriously, there's a lot. And it sounds like you're moving, almost to more entrepreneurship for moms at home and stuff like that too. That is exciting. And we'll just keep learning from you, okay?
And when do you graduate?
Oh, and this is also my last 6 months of grad school. So almost done. January is my last class, and I think I graduate in May.
Yay! Congratulations. It's getting close. The end's in sight, girl. The end's in sight.
I cannot wait. I will listen to the rest of this, but I have to go pick up kids from VBS. So
okay, well, we're glad you could join us while you could today. We really do. And enjoy the kiddies. I hope they had a great time at Vacation Bible School. So on that right. Okay, Johnny, what do you have in your horizon coming up?
Oh my gosh, I've been trying to think during this whole time, and really, it's not like it's not new. I mean, because I know what it is. I mean, I've just got books to write, and even though, like, I don't think my next actual deadline is kind of far out, because I've got several projects. It's like I've got to get it done now, and I'm having to learn to write fast. Like Melissa was talking about that. I'm kind of a slow writer too, and I just don't have the luxury of that anymore. It's like I just can't. And so, but other than that, gosh, I think I'm going to just take this in a little bit different direction, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I was thinking about a lot this morning as I had read your questions and about what we were talking about. I really don't like to use the word balance, but we all know what people mean when they say that. But I'm wondering if we couldn't start talking more in terms of, instead of balance, of ebb and flow, because that's kind of what we need to do, because sometimes we need to concentrate on marketing, sometimes we need to concentrate on the writing, and and we've got our families, and we've got other responsibilities, and all that kind of thing. So that just kind of came to me this morning, that I think as we go through a writing journey, and we start out, and there's so much information, and I feel like I did this, like I wanted to join every organization, I wanted to get everybody's newsletters, everybody's emails, all this kind of stuff. But then as you go along, so it's almost like, you go like this, and then you start going like this again, because as God starts pointing you in certain directions, saying no, he says no to some things, yes to other things, you kind of get your focus, Jeannie, because you remember way back when it was like, I don't know whether I want to write fiction or nonfiction. Yeah, I want to write fiction, but it's hard, so I'll write nonfiction instead. But then God just, you don't know, and then God just starts bringing you in. And now I'm finding myself at a place where I'm actually not renewing memberships to organizations, and I'm wanting to get rid of, unsubscribe to some things. So it's like, we're all at different places. And I feel like we need to say, it's okay to be at that place where you're just grabbing onto everything. And then there's going to come the time when you're going to start letting things go, because you're going to be more focused. So I know that doesn't even answer your question, but I'm hoping that's just kind of, wherever you are in that, it's okay. It's okay to be where you are in that whole process, to be at the place where you're just grabbing onto everything, joining everything you can, and then feeling overwhelmed because you've joined too much, but then letting go of it and figuring out what was the best. What do I want to hold on to because it's really the best for me at this time? And what, really is no. And whose voices am I listening to? Whose voices in marketing am I listening to? Whose voices when it comes to newsletters am I listening to? Because there's a lot of information out there, and you can just get overwhelmed trying to do it all. Okay, that's my little thing.
No, but I really like that, and I think that's something we don't as writers discuss as much. And where are you on this path? And you come, but ebb and flow. But there might be times that you might go in a different direction, and then you come back, or you delve into something a little bit more because you hadn't been into that one yet. It might be a new genre or something. So it's just, I think it is a great point, and I'm not sure if we could ever make that a full show, but wouldn't that be a great discussion sometime to have on here? What is the writer's ebb and flow on these writing paths? Because these journeys that we're on, what's some of the variables that are involved, the obstacles and the variables?
And I can promise you, being at this end of it, and having done this for several years now, and being on this journey, it's not at all what I imagine God would do. I mean, it's not. You just don't know what God's going to have for you. That I have this many books to write is just incredible to me, and a dream I had at one time, but now it's come true, and it's really scary. But then in another year or two, maybe I won't have anything. I mean, you don't know, because that's the way the publishing world works, right? So you can never be just complacent about it. And I just, even when I get grumpy about it, I just say, God, thank you, and help me be content. Because it's like, they're fun stories to write, but they're not the deep stories I want to write. But it's like, okay, but maybe those will come later. I don't know. God knows. And if they don't, that's okay. I've had this opportunity. So, you just don't know. And I have found it really helpful to say yes to God when he put things in my lap. And that's where this has come from, even though it sort of went against what we were told to do. Because as you all know, I write in multiple genres. And lots of times we're told stick to one. And I've not done that, but I've not done that because God has actually put things in my lap. It's not like I went out and went seeking for it. And I wasn't going to say no. So,
but that's a good thing to remember while we talk about goals, because I'm the planner, and I write these babies out in January, and I think this is the direction I'm going, but that is not always where God is going to lead us to. And so it's to hold things lightly and to be open to that. But I love the phrase, the ebb and flow of
Yeah.
of the writer's journey. I think I think we all need to ponder a little bit about that. Great, great, Johnny. Thank you. Norma, what about you? What's something new that's coming up now in the second half of 2019?
Well, first, I'd like to say I agree, Johnny. I love that ebb and flow because life is ebb and flow. How often is life really balanced? Not very often. And so, but there's an ebb and flow to it, and everybody's ebb and flow is a little different. So I like that. That was very profound, Johnny. I like that. What's new with me that wasn't here in January is God has brought me through some hard times and some desert moments, I guess you could say. And I have come out on the other side as a writer, not just hobby writing, but I have to write. Does that make sense? And so that's what I have for the last 6 months that I didn't have the previous 6 months. So
that is great. It sounds like you found your identity as a writer.
The desert's not always that bad, even though it seems like it at the moment.
Yeah. That is great. And what a witness for us too. What a witness. Yeah, I've often discovered I cannot not write. And that kind of gets you going when you're not 100% sure if this is where God's called us. But, when you realize that gives you the focus, gives you the energy, sometimes gets you back on track where you need to be.
Right.
And that. Good reminder, Norma. Good reminder. Okay, Melissa, you're up next. Something new on your horizon?
Oh, Johnny and Norma really basically touched on it. And I love that ebb and flow illustration too. I was sitting there trying to think into words, what is it that I'm experiencing right now? And that's it. That's exactly it. And I'm being forced into that ebb and flow and realizing that I can't control it. I can't take control. I have to just sit and write it out and let God run it. And so that's the new thing now is learning to let God take the reins and be content not being able to control anything. To learn how to work in the moment.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the moment.
So stay tuned to the moment, especially when you're in some chaos, like getting stuff ready to sell and stuff like that, and your slew of kids and trying to write and all that. Yeah. Staying in the moment. This is what I have in front of me. I'm going to focus on this. That is that and stuff. I mean, we've had discussions on how we can get tripped up with trying to multitask and how that gets overwhelming. Yeah. I'll share one thing fun I learned last week at Speak Up, because this was totally new to me, and I got the website, and let's see if I can see if I can get it on here real quick. I got to hit enter. Hold on. Well, it's not going for some reason. There it goes. It's called Fashion Meets Faith. There's a lady, and I'll write her name in the chat here in just a minute, but she is such a delightful Christian lady that looks at people, no matter if you're short and fat like me, or tall and slender, or if you're young, or if you're old, and gives you suggestions for your coloring and your style and your makeup and everything. And I had a 15-minute consultation with her, and I just loved it. They turned around and won in one of the drawings a longer consultation, and I can't wait. I was on her website this morning, and she sells a class. I'm not trying to sell her class or anything, but she sells a class how you can narrow down your closet and have more interchangeable clothes for only $27. I thought that might be worth it. So I may ask for that for Christmas. But anyway, I just found her delightful and empowering and a beautiful Christian lady. She really does. And she got some podcasts, not a lot. So I just downloaded them this morning. So you might find that interesting. So that was her website. You can get the link to her podcast there and her classes there, and I'll write her name in a minute. But it was neat about the coloring. And I ended up with, I've got them here, swatches of all the colors that my clothes should be. You know, look at all these. Look at all these. That is not me, that top one, trust me. But, you know, and reds, I didn't think reds, there's a yellow in there, and I didn't think yellow was mine. But you guys will, as soon as you see these, you'll know those are my colors because I wear them a great deal, you know. But anyway, I would not have thought about looking some wild prints either. Most of them aren't wild prints, but I liked what she said about, there's the yellow for a blonde lady. That's not really much my color, but I really liked what she said. And she just said different things about hair color, hairstyle. In 15 minutes, I came away with a lot of info and stuff. I got a whole list of notes. When you're short like me, how to buy pants. You know, I didn't know how to, I never wear capris, and she taught me a trick on how to wear capris when you're short, and because you don't want to. I said I never wear capris because they make me look shorter and stockier. But I sat down and met with her. As you guys know, I have lost quite a bit of weight, and I am getting a little bit older. And I thought, well, maybe I get some good feedback, and I did. So she's kind of a fun something new that would help us when it comes to headshots or when we present someplace. Little tricks on that, and I think you might find her as a neat little resource. So that's something new. I'm going to explore that a little bit more on that coming up. So anyway, I would like to invite. Do you guys have anything else you want to add as we invite people? Come on back in, everybody, and I want to hear what everybody. If you've got a goal that you've accomplished that you want us to celebrate this year, we've got about 10 minutes left, or something else you want to do that's different, something that you wish you did better. I did not take anybody off, so I'm thinking unless somebody else did, everybody should be able to jump back on and share. Yeah, Rhonda, let's get Haroline in here, and we'll just, I really did. If those of you that don't know Haroline, I think most of you know, you're well. Is she your cousin? Is that what it is?
She's my cousin, and she's just uncontainable.
Yes, yes.
She would say you need one of those butterfly hair clips, Jean. That would really, spice up your do.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I bet. So anybody else that want to come on in, you feel free to come on in and back on. And do any of you that are here have a goal that you want to share, or what, something that you feel like you've accomplished, or something else you still want to do, or something new that's coming up?
I will say my goal, Jean, is to finish a book. And I have had
reading or writing.
I've had tremendous success in contests and so forth, because you only have to write 15 pages and then you pat yourself on the back. but I tell you, and I have maybe 6 manuscripts that have won awards, and then I have one that won a big award, and that's where I'm starting. But I'm finding that finishing a book is a whole different thing, and it's not going as quickly as I want it to. And we've talked a lot about scheduling and planning and so forth, but I find my biggest thing right now is saying no to things that will distract me from doing what I know God wants me to do. And so I went to a major writing conference recently, and I won't mention which one since we're still recording, but I have a coach, a mentor, who kept telling me, say no, 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 and I'm finding that so difficult. But the other thing that's happened to me is also just trying to tie up loose ends of commitments I already unwisely made. And my husband and I were having devotions earlier this week, and he talked, I've been looking for the verse. I don't know what version he was reading, but it talked about keeping a commitment even when it hurts, that this is something that pleases God, is keeping a commitment even when there's a high cost. And I committed to typeset a book. I never should have done that. I committed to edit someone else's book, and it was only 12 chapters, but guess what? Each chapter is at least 25 pages. So I had no idea when I said, sure, I'll do that, and I think sometimes I'm guilty of not counting the cost before I say yes.
Mm.
So this is my focused goal right now, besides all the writing goals. Because when I don't finish those goals, if I set aside something I promised someone else in order to work on my project, I feel so guilty. And I don't know about other people, but I can't function when I am overrun by guilt.
You're just
Nothing
overwhelmed.
nothing comes out right. My writing is terrible. What I'm trying to do for other people is terrible because I'm rushing. So, this is a great chat topic for me today because I really do need to refocus. And so I thank you ladies for understanding. I've been encouraged by the chat too because many of us are struggling with the same things, and it's
Mhm.
nice to know I'm not alone.
On that. But listen, remember what Bethany said right at the beginning, that she learned from being a little bit overstretched, and now she's learning she's learned her boundaries. And it sounds like to me you're doing the same as Bethany.
Oh yeah, I related very much to what she said.
Uh-huh.
Very much.
On that way. Yep, very much. And I don't know if Johnny or Melissa, I know you guys have completed a novel. You have any words of advice for Rhonda about getting that work in progress complete?
Oh, I'm impressed with Rhonda just because of all the competitions she's entered, because I've only entered 2 my entire life. And so I think that's an accomplishment in and of itself. That's awesome that she's done that. So I think it really is. It's just a matter of the whole butt in chair and do it, is even when it's hard to write, just write. And it just comes with practice. I think Rhonda can do it.
Well, thank you for that, Melissa. I will say too, the minute I say, like, for example, right now my husband is out of town. Oh, don't let that out on the internet until he gets home. But I'm like, I am going to have so much time to write. And I woke up this morning and I can barely walk. My back is out. And so I'm thinking, just anytime I think this is it, I'm going to get my moment, something comes along, and I am so frustrated by that. And part of that is just believing I'm a person, I know a lot about spiritual warfare, and I've been praying, and all of this, and I know the enemy is against us because what he really doesn't want is the message that we want to release in whatever way he's given us to release. Being a writer isn't just about having people read what we've written and enjoy it. It's about impacting their life with a message of Christ. And Satan hates that. He hates that. And I have felt so much the struggle to bring forth, something that is worth releasing into the world according to the will of God. And so I'm head down, boy. I am into the wind. It doesn't matter how hard it's blowing. I am determined to put one step in front of another. And I tell you, girls, I will write 2,000 words today if it kills me. I will. And sometimes I think it's just a matter of punching through the opposition to the point where you can say, okay, now tomorrow it's another 2,000 words. You see? So anyway, thanks for letting me blow off steam. But also, I will say too, this group is the best time I spend all week.
Yeah.
And I say that with no reservations. I read a lot of things. I study a lot of things. I do a lot of things. And, it's not better than my personal devotions. But it's very close second because I know that I'm talking to people who have done what I want to do and people who are trying to do what I want to do. And everybody's rooting for me. And I'm rooting for all of you. And this sense of community is absolutely imperative to me as a writer. So
glad you're here.
thank you.
Oh, that makes our day.
So much to me.
Thank you, Rhonda. That really makes our day on that. It really does.
Yeah.
Joe, do you have anything you want to add to goals or anything right now? Because we're getting short on time, but I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to pop in and share.
I do. That my book lover's companion, I was all ready to self-publish when I had a conversation on Thursday with an author friend. And she said to me, I think I know of somebody who might be interested in publishing it. So she sent it off on Thursday. So I'm just praying every day. And if that's what God wants, that will happen. But I just wanted
that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Absolutely unexpected. So I also, I guess I can't help but say this. I've been listening to the conversations, and I feel like this common thread is kind of woven in with the ebb and flow. And for my life as a writer, it is not where I thought it would be right now. 3 years ago, my brother, who has autism, came to live with us. And so he is 67 now. So it's totally changed everything. And so I think in looking at life and looking at really making the right decisions, for everybody, we've decided, made a big decision as to what will happen with him, and it will be a group home. But I think in the midst of all of that, the thing that has happened is it's just drawn you closer to the Lord. And that has made everything just, I know that I'm called to write. I know that it gets harder and harder each day because you never know what's going to happen each day. But I'm just so grateful to the Lord and to this group, and I will say that as well. I'm just so grateful because of the encouragement and the things that I'm learning. And sorry, I'm going to cry. And I really am, because sometimes you feel alone.
You do.
You do. And as writers, it's okay to say that. I believe in being honest. So, we can be honest and just say there are days when we feel very alone.
We do.
Yes. We
do. And I think that's why when we gather together as writers and talk about what's on our heart, that we find God there and we go on. We're kind of affirmed in the direction we're going.
We do.
Yeah. Well, if anybody else have other things, we can share in our after party here real quick and stuff, but I think we need to wrap up the recording, at least for the sake. So really appreciate everybody being here, and it's my fault I didn't look at next week. Is it Bethany again, or what is it? Okay, Johnny, do you want to tell us what next week's topic is while we're on the recording?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just more marketing with Bethany.
Okay.
So kind of a continuation of last.
Part two.
Part two, what we did a couple weeks ago or last week or something like that. And we always need marketing tips. So you will always find that thread throughout on Writers Chat. So I thank you for everybody for sharing it, especially here at the end. I mean, that was just very touching, I think. And we're honest with each other. And I think we're here to support and love and pray for one another. And that's what makes this community very unique. And I'm really I'm blessed to know each and every one of you guys. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching the replay if you're watching the replay. And please join us next week on Writers Chat. Bye now.
Bye.